What's going on, guys? We're bringing back a brand new video, and today we are here to preview the F1 2015 Spanish Grand Prix. We'll also be reviewing the qualifying which took place today and making some predictions for tomorrow's race. The Spanish Grand Prix then, it's the 5th of 19 rounds of the FIA F1 2015 season. Really looking forward to it after a really promising qualifying session. Very unpredictable, and certainly the pole man was very unexpected, as it was Nico Rosberg taking pole position ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Sebastian Vettel was in his usual kind of position just behind the Mercedes in third, but it was Valtteri Bottas in fourth, and even more shocking, in fifth and sixth it was the two Toro Rossos of Carlos Sainz Jr. and Max Verstappen, easily doing the best job of anyone today. Mega kudos to them, fantastic result, Sainz's best ever qualifying, as is Verstappen's as well. Kimi Raikkonen, really disappointing 7th on the grid for him. He hasn't looked comfortable all weekend. The kind of upgrades didn't really get to his car. They were there on Friday, but he decided not to run them today. That possibly cost him. He's way off his teammate, and we'll have to see. He can probably bring it back in the race. I can definitely see him, getting ahead of the Toro Rossos, but certainly he's nowhere near his teammate this weekend. Maybe that'll change in the race, but I kind of doubt it. In 8th place it was Danny Kvyat and the Red Bull, actually doing a really good job to outqualify his teammate, but he was behind both of the Toro Rossos. A really embarrassing day for Red Bull, even though they got both cars into Q3, something they haven't actually done at every race so far this season. But 8th and 10th, not exactly where they want to be, especially after they had such high hopes. And looking at the practice times, they were way up there. They could have even kind of gone where Toro Rosso were. There was kind of an open goal there, as one of the Ferraris was struggling. Red Bull really should have pounced on it, and they just kind of failed to do. Although Fiat did pounce on one of the failing Williams of Felipe Massa, who just couldn't quite get his lap hooked up. He'll start down in 9th place. A really bad qualifying for Massa, not what he needed after a really poor Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll see if he can bounce back in the race. Daniel Ricciardo then in 10th, ahead of Romain Grosjean, Pastor Maldonado, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, Felipe Nasr, Marcus Ericsson, Nick Hulkenberg, Sergio Perez, Will Stevens and Roberto Merhi brings up the rear. So as you may have noticed then, from 11th downwards, they're basically 2 by 2. You got the 2 Lotuses, the 2 McLarens, the 2 Saubers, the 2 Force Indias and the 2 Manners. So, it just shows how evenly matched some of the teammates are, and just how, I suppose, far apart some of the teams are, and kind of, I mean, of course, if you look down at Manor, Will Stevens, pretty comfortably ahead of Roberto Merhi. Will Stevens is actually doing a really good job. He's really impressed me. He's easily got the better of Roberto Merhi so far this season. It's certainly, Manor's driver number 1 at the moment. Can't see Merhi being there much longer. In my opinion, he doesn't deserve that seat any longer. He's had his go. He hasn't impressed. Manor, I think, just need to move on, sign a new driver. But, probably quite a few out there, but could be quicker and still have, the budget of Merhi. Force India, a torrid day for them, 17th and 18th on the grid. Really bad result. They'll be just, hoping to finish tomorrow's race. I wouldn't be expecting any points for the pair unless they can kind of do something similar to what they did in Bahrain. But they had, a bit of pace in Bahrain. This is a massive step down for them. They're just holding out until, the Austria test and the Silverstone Grand Prix to get their B-Spec car. They've been waiting for that for so long, of course, been delayed. Was initially, I believe, coming at Spain, then it was coming at when was it? I think it was coming about Canada, then it was coming at Austria, and then recently it's been delayed to Silverstone, so they'll just be hoping it's not going to be delayed anymore and just holding out for that Austria test when they can finally get up to where they want to be, in 2015. But the worry is, by then, everyone else would have caught up, and Force India might not even gain that much from it. But I'm really hoping they will do, of course, as a Force India fan. As a fan of Sauber as well, it was a really disappointing weekend so far. 15th and 16th is kind of what practice pointed it towards. Sauber didn't look very quick, during practice, and that kind of transpired. Felipe Nasr doing a good job to finish ahead of his teammate. Marcus Ericsson, not doing an awful job, 16th. Not too bad. Those two are very racy. We know they're going to be coming through the field, and it would be great to see, if they can hold back the 2 Force Indias, possibly maybe in front of one of the McLarens of the Lotuses. Speaking of McLaren and Lotuses, a pretty average day for them. McLaren, I suppose, making a bit of progress, so they're comfortably 13th and 14th. But you look at practice, it was so promising. It looked like they could get both cars into Q3. Many people predicting points for them tomorrow. and it's still pretty possible, you know, Alonso finishing ahead of, qualifying ahead of Button will, you know, put him in good stead, because those two have been very evenly matched so far this season. It's been brilliant to see the battle between them, and it will be in tomorrow's race. I reckon with a bit of good racecraft and a good strategy, McLaren can get into the points, but it's going to be tough. It's also going to be tough for Lotus to get into the points. Grosjean and Maldonado having a really disappointing day. You know, and yesterday as well, you know, their pace has just been really off so far. I'm not sure if they've just gone the wrong way with upgrades, or if they haven't brought any upgrades, you know, compared to their rivals, you know, if they haven't brought enough. I'm not sure, but Lotus actually, you know, pretty off colour, and their race pace isn't that good, so we'll have to see. I doubt, you know, we're going to see a repeat of the last two races for Grosjean, where of course he's come 7th, and Maldonado, sadly can't see him taking his first points tomorrow, but you never know. He might have to wait until Monaco, where, well, actually I'm not sure about Lotus in Monaco, because, you know, their engine's, you know, great. They've got Mercedes engine. It's just chassis that's probably letting them down just for the moment, but, you know, decent performance on the drivers to finish, you know, right next to each other. They'll be, you know, owning the 6th row of the grid. Let's move up then to 10th place. That was Daniel Ricciardo then. My predictions for him tomorrow, well, you know, probably just expecting him to be making a bit of progress if that Red Bull can hold out. This is a crucial thing for both Red Bull and Toro Rosso. I've got my fingers and toes crossed that they can all finish, because, you know, Sainz and Verstappen, if they'd have, you know, got a reliable car this season, they'd have been way up there in the driver's standings. They'd have scored probably double what they've scored so far this season. You know, only 3 points finishes for Toro Rosso, and, you know, their DNF rate is pretty high. Max Verstappen, you know, only been allowed to finish one race. And Carlos Sainz Jr. as well, you know, having bad luck in, you know, 3 of the 4 races, only having 1 decent race in Malaysia, as did Verstappen. So let's hope both Sainz and Verstappen come to the finish, because if they can, then I definitely expect them to be up there 6th, 7th, maybe even 5th. But I think solid points for both cars has to be the target for Toro Rosso. I'm really hoping they can make that work. They'll have a tough job though, holding behind the Ferrari and the Williams. We should see them pushing towards the front of the field. And talking of Williams and Ferrari, well, the two other teammates, Bottas and Vettel, have been on it this weekend, especially Valtteri Bottas. He's come off a brilliant Bahrain Grand Prix, and I think he's going to be gunning for Sebastian Vettel this weekend. He sees a potential podium. He's got a good buffer behind him with the 2 Toro Rossos, so he can just kind of, you know, build a gap before, you know, Raikkonen and Massa get past the 2 Toro Rossos, which I'm only, you know, suggesting they may do. It's not a guarantee. You know, Toro Rosso could have a good race, could have a bad race. You know, we'll just have to wait until tomorrow to see. But I think, you know, we're going to see Bottas having another really strong race. Could potentially pit Vettel, but I think Vettel's just going to, you know, get 3rd. And of course, we've got to remember about tyre wear and tyre strategies. I think Vettel will probably be able to make it, you know, at least last a lot longer, maybe get a better strategy. We're onto that kind of medium-hard territory again, which we saw back in Malaysia, of course, where Vettel won the race. You know, their target coming into the weekend was probably to beat Mercedes. I'm not sure if that's realistic now, but we'll have to see. I really hope I'm wrong, but, you know, and I hope that Ferrari really can push Mercedes. But for me, I think, you know, Mercedes are probably going to get a 1-2. But the question is, which Mercedes is going to be front? Will it be Nico Rosberg or Lewis Hamilton? Nico Rosberg finally got his first pole position of the season. Lewis Hamilton then finally having to settle for second best. But this is qualifying. You don't score any points for qualifying. They all come in the race. Bottom line is, Lewis Hamilton's the better racer probably. He's probably the faster driver. But can Nico Rosberg somehow hang on? Can he just show his aggressiveness from Bahrain again in Spain? Can he just get off the line, get ahead, and keep ahead for the whole race? It'd be brilliant to see. I really want to see a battle between these two. I want to see Rosberg get his elbows out. He's got his elbows against the Ferrari and the Williams, but the Mercedes is a different beast. That's the same car. You know, these other cars have been slow, but if you can pass a car that it's the same, you know, speed as his, then that would just prove that Nico Rosberg's season is well and truly underway, and he can really push for the title, because I've seen nothing this season that suggested that he can fight for the title. But if he can do it tomorrow in Spain, I'll be very happy, because it means he can hopefully challenge for the championship, and Hamilton's not going to run away with it. Nothing against Hamilton, but I do like a close title fight, and hopefully that's what we're going to get then between Rosberg and Hamilton. So then, you guys can leave your predictions down in the comment section below. I'm going to sadly go for Lewis Hamilton victory again. I think he's just been perfect this season. You know, this is the one chink in his arm probably so far this season. Possibly Malaysia as well, but I think that was just down to, you know, the Mercedes tyre wear. I'm going to go with Rosberg in 2nd and Sebastian Vettel in 3rd, with Bottas in 4th. So, you know, top 4 in quality, top 4 in the race. We don't often see that, so I might be wrong, but I think we're going to see that this time. Behind them, it's going to be close. I'd have to go with Kimi Räikkönen in 5th, Felipe Massa in 6th. I think the 2 Toro Rossos, I think one of them's going to finish. I'm going to go with Verstappen finishing, with Sainz finishing out the top 10. And then all that behind, we just never know. You know, Formula 1 at this moment is predictable in the sense that, you know, we know Mercedes are going to be winning, or possibly sometimes Ferrari, but there's an element of unpredictability that can sometimes creep in, you know, just like possibly, I'm going to predict McLaren are going to score points anyway. I don't think either Force India or Sauber is, but we'll have to see. Anyway, as I mentioned then, you guys can leave your top 10 prediction or top 3, or even just the winner, whatever you guys want to put down in the comment section below, be sure to put it. Anyway, I'm just racing, and see you guys tomorrow then for my review of the Spanish Grand Prix. Goodbye.